Our next guest is body language and communication expert and author Jess Ponce, here to tell us about how body language impacts our perception of pop culture events. Welcome, Jess.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited. And you hit on one of the key signs that we all read in people, and that is whether or not they're closing their body off. Now, when people listen, sometimes they're relaxed, and that's kind of okay. You just have to see whether or not they move, and you can also look at their eyes. Body language is more than just positioning, it's context, it's environment, and it's also tone because we communicate with more than just words.
That is so fascinating. Tell me
Mhm.
how did you get into this and become a body language expert? Did you always have intuition about people, or what drove you here?
Well, that's a really good question. And I think on some level, I've been a student of communication my entire life. And part of that really goes back to when I was a child because I had a really pronounced lisp. And I still have it. But what I had to do is I had to use other parts of my body so that I felt like I was understood. And I worked in television, I worked with hosts, and I coach people how to do either presentations or how to do interviews. And so, through all this course of action and going to various schools and being certified as a coach, I've really focused on that.
I love it. I love it. Now, I know you're going to talk to us about celebrities and body language and the cues we can take, but I gotta think that you can use body language signals when you're at work, right?
Yes, absolutely. And so, what is really interesting is that as people are going back to the office or being requested to be there 3 or 5 days a week, we're very different now in person than pre pandemic. Right? Because we have to fight against the instinct of what it was like to be in front of a computer, in front of a screen, because everybody was multitasking.
That
At
is
the
true.
same time, we also had to learn to focus, right? Because
Yeah.
we had kids and cats and dogs and spouses in the background. So we have this sort of dual thing happening where we cannot multitask, and yet we've learned how to be focused, but not for very long.
That's really interesting. You see high profile people trying to master their body language who have never really expressed themselves authentically. Prince Harry, Britney Spears. Why are they trying now to be more authentic and to relate more to the audience? And are they ready to show their authentic selves?
Well, what's really interesting is that you have people who've been in front of the spotlight their entire lives. And the instance of Prince Harry, it was a formal sort of behavior that he had to exhibit. With other celebrities, Britney, it was also sort of controlled on some level, as we have learned, right? That you are a performer. I think when we talk about authenticity, we need to look at the other side of their personality. Okay, when we go back to childhood, the way we behaved in front of our parents was very different than the way we behaved in front of our friends or the way that we behaved in front of teachers. Now, all of those people are still you, but who is you in the relaxed state? So, the reason I believe that we are becoming more and more relaxed is because of social media. So when I first started working in television and entertainment, everything had to be polished. Everything had to be professional. We were relaying information. The thing that we were not doing is connecting with the audience. And when you look at TikTok and you look at Instagram and all of these other things, if you mess up, it's no big deal. Suddenly I'm going like, oh, he or she is more real, right?
Yeah.
We don't want people to be over polished. So I think that trickles back up to celebrities who are creatures of pop culture.
So when you take the authenticity into the workplace, because Liftoff is all about the reality that you've got a work-life blend. Everything's kind of blended today. What would be the one piece of advice you would give somebody who was interviewing for a job with body language? Is it eye contact and not moving away from that established frame, or is there something else that somebody should do?
I think the number one thing that a person should do is engage. And the verbal and nonverbal work together. So, an example would be, are you sort of leaning in? Are you looking at the individual? So, it's not just about eye contact, it's about how you have eye contact, right? Because I grew up around nuns and they're famous for knowing, to have very, direct eye contact. But is there a smile? Is there a gleam? Is there something that says, hey, I'm comfortable with you. Ask whatever you'd like. And also your words. How are you engaging that individual? Are you asking them questions? Are you showing interest? It's not just about a ping pong. ball going back and forth.
Now, what's one thing that people should absolutely avoid? Crossing your hands? Probably not. Maybe. I don't know.
I think the one thing that people should really avoid is having papers in front of them or something that's going to distract from actually doing the interview. What we want to do is we want our body to be free. We want to be able to express with our hands. We want to be able to even be that moment where we're looking away from an individual so that we can connect back with them. But if you're sitting there and you've got something, and it could be your hands, or you've got a piece of paper in front of you, or you're holding a mug, you're actually giving your energy to this item. You're not giving the energy to the other person.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. It's a
Interesting.
whole
This is
fascinating
fascinating.
word.
This is fascinating.
Yes.
We could talk for hours
Mhm.
about this, and I'm probably going to write down a whole bunch of questions and get in touch with you and ask you more. But thank you so much for
Oh,
coming
thank
on
you
the
for
show
having me.
today.
Such a pleasure.
This was so helpful. All right, I loved that. Didn't you? Now, don't go running away. You might slip and fall. Sorry, bad dad joke. But seriously, if your back has ever been sore, Dr. Ken Hansera is coming up next to share his latest tips and insights with all of us. And everybody was just in the green room doing back exercises, so you're going to love this.